It's Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales with the absolute kookiest creeps, ghosts, bats, and of course, scaredy cats.
Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales, a set of 5 Scooby-Doo episodes from Scooby-Doo Where Are You? In the Scooby-Doo Show. These episodes are supposedly Hanna-Barbera's scariest Scooby-Doo episodes. That's why they're called Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales. Now, are these the spookiest tales? Hi guys, I'm Scooby Culprit, it's Scoobtober, and today we're going to be looking at Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales, the DVD that was released in 2001, August 21st to be specific, and it was also released with a VHS version. Now, we're going to talk about some fun facts with it right now, and then we're going to get into the 5 episodes that are in this DVD format. Zoinks! Get ready to shake and shiver with Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Inc. gang as they collect clues and capture crooks as only they can. These teenage super sleuths have the villains on the run in several mysterious adventures, so grab your Scooby snacks and gather your courage to make like a detective because, jinkies, there's a mystery to solve. Okay, so we have 2 episodes from the Scooby-Doo show and 3 episodes from Scooby-Doo Where Are You? Now, in 2001, there was a good amount of Scooby-Doo shows, so special features includes a bonus episode, The Headless Horseman of Halloween, which is probably the most Halloween episode that we're going to get today, and we're going to be talking about that one later in the video. Other than that, there's some trivia, Mystery Inc. character bios, which are pretty cool. You can see them right here. And let's talk about some really cool stuff about this DVD. Now, you might be thinking, why am I talking about this DVD of all things for Scoobtober? I think the episodes on these aren't the scariest. They're not. They really aren't. They're very good. They're very, very good picks. They're not too popular. They're not too unknown. They're just perfect in the middle for everybody. So, this DVD was the first time any episodes of the Scooby-Doo show were ever on a DVD format. Another thing, the VHS version has a reversal list of episodes, which basically means instead of which is which being the last one, it would be the first one. Big thing here, Vampire, Bats, and Scaredy Cats, the episode I was just talking about, on the VHS version was a rough work in progress version. So it wasn't the final version. It wasn't fully finished, so it was very rough. I've seen it, what it looks like. It does look really bad, but it's pretty cool that we get to see what it looked like when it first aired type thing. And the DVD version has the finished one that aired on ABC, obviously, but that's cool. Other than that, there's really not much other stuff about this DVD out there. It's hard to find as well. It's not one of the most popular, but I love the art on the DVD in the back. The front of the DVD, the back of it is just nice looking. So let's go into these episodes. Our first episode of Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales, which might be the spookiest, is Vampires, Bats, and Scaredy Cats. So first things first, this is from the Scooby-Doo show. And it's also the first episode of the Scooby-Doo show, which actually had a title card in it. And it was also the Scooby-Doo episode, which mentioned Skull Island. The first time Skull Island was mentioned was Go Away Ghost Ship, and then the other one was A Creepy Case of Old Iron Face. Skull Island is super popular with Scooby-Doo. Everyone knows Skull Island. We see it again. The gang along with Scooby-Dum, which, if you don't know Scooby-Dum, he is Scooby-Doo's cousin, brother, well, take your pick, relative of Scooby, let's just say. Sometimes more fearless than Scooby, but also very dumb. That's why he's called Scooby-Dum. And so all of them head to Skull Island to meet Daphne's friend, Lisa, and Lisa is very important for this episode, so let's talk about it. There's a vampire haunting Skull Island, which there's a hotel on Skull Island all of a sudden. There's never a hotel on Skull Island, there is now. And Daphne's friend, Lisa, kind of sort of owns the hotel, and Daphne's friend Lisa's uncle Leon is actually more of the owner of the hotel, but basically on Lisa's birthday she gets her inheritance money. So there's a vampire loose on this island, and this vampire can turn you into a vampire, and that's pretty scary. While they're sleeping, Daphne awakens to see a vampire standing in front of her bed. Daphne's sleeping, there's a vampire just like chilling, breathing on her. That's scary. That's spooky. I mean, we might have a heavy hitter in today's video, and if you don't know, we're gonna be looking at all these episodes and gonna do best to worst on them. So this episode is looking to be pretty high up. Now, everyone arrives and the vampire flees, turning into a bat, and they begin searching for clues while Scooby-Doo discovers a ventilation duct, which might be where the vampire went, or how the vampire got into the room. We'll find out. Shaggy Scooby and Scooby-Dum crawl inside the vent to search, while Fred, Velma, and Daphne tell Lisa what's been going on. Then the phone rings. Daphne answers it, hearing only a high-pitched bell. Now, this is super duper important. We're going to talk about it later. Don't forget. Then Scooby, Shaggy, and Dumb find the vampire, and it chases them. All the cool chase Scooby-Doo chasing scenes, all that. After escaping that whole chase scene, the gang reunites, discovers a dog whistle on the floor. Why is that there? And it's a clue. So that dog whistle has something to do with that phone, has something to do with people turning to vampires. Scooby Colbert from the future here. It was actually a watch alarm, not a dog whistle, that turned people into vampires. Lisa answers the phone later on, hears the high-pitched bell, and then turns into a vampire. We just have random vampires. She begins to chase the gang along with the normal vampire, who Shaggy has now dubbed Gramps the Vamp. Reason being, Lisa's grandfather supposedly was a vampire, and the curse, I guess, skips a generation as now she's going to be a vampire, which she is a vampire now, so I guess they're not wrong about Gramps the Vamp. And they escape and find Fred, Velma, and Daphne, who have found a paper that says XO6 Disment, whatever how they say it.
It says XO6 Desmo.
They see that clue. Shaggy and Scooby then see Gramps the Vamp lead Lisa into a coffin, and then they find Lisa, they snap her out of it, get her back to her normal self, and she doesn't remember what happened after that bell ring. Here's a spoiler. The bell was the dog whistle that puts you into a trance that makes you put in fake vampire teeth in different eye contacts, which makes you look like a vampire. And anyway, they capture Gramps the Vamp after all this other stuff. Then we find out that it was actually Uncle Leon who's just trying to get the inheritance, because that's uncles do, guys, okay? Trust Scooby-Doo. And that's it. There's our first episode of Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales. It is pretty scary. It's a lot happens, too much to yap about for this supposedly short Scoobtober video. All that fun stuff happens. Gramps the Vamp, love his design, his long fingers, oh my gosh, his little bow tie, and his beard, I guess. His powers are insane. The fact that he is like right over Daphne's bed is pretty scary. Would you wake up to a vampire working all over you? No, I would not want to do that. So anyway, guys, let's move on to the next episode. Next up, we have a Gaggle of Gappling Ghosts, a very iconic Scooby-Doo Where Are You episode. But when it comes to scary, I don't think so. So let's talk about it. We have the vampire, the werewolf, and Frankenstein's monster. What I guess makes this episode scary is that there's 4 different monsters if we include the gypsy, even though she is her own thing. Technically there's 3 monsters, and because of that, the nature of it is you're in a castle, there's monsters everywhere lurking, but we find out Big Bob Oakley, alias the actor type thing, is actually, he's all of them. He's the gypsy, he's the Frankenstein's monster, he's werewolf, and he is the vampire. Reason this episode is not scary: these monsters are bad. Just flat out, this villain is bad. Beginning of the episode, let's just talk about it. First of all, Scooby and the gang don't even care about what the gypsy's saying. They're still gonna go to the Franken Castle, which, Franken Castle, that's a great name for a castle. Castle's awesome. Something even funnier, there's lightning strikes like happening with no weather, and Fred's like, yeah, let's still go in.
Wait a minute. Let's get out and look around first.
So they go in, but then they leave because the vampire's like, get out. You're not welcome here, or I'll suck your blood or whatever. Second episode with a vampire in a row. Wow. This is the very iconic vampire design that you all know and love. So anyway, the gang, except Daphne, leave the castle. Daphne's stuck there, and the big, gruesome Frankenstein's monster is chasing her around the castle. Scooby and Shaggy make it to the castle to open the drawbridge to save Daphne. While they do all that, they encounter the werewolf. All of these villains are very iconic in this episode, like actually like very marketable. There's so many toys and media of them, super iconic. Let's keep on yapping about the episode. Scooby and Shaggy literally captured a werewolf after a bunch of hijinks, and Shaggy throwing his voice, confusing the heck out of this werewolf. I feel bad for him, but literally Scooby scares him into a trap that Shaggy made. If Shaggy makes a trap and you fall into it and you fail and get captured, you're bad. You need to practice some more for the mystery inking. And after all that, Fred loses Velma, because Fred and Velma are just solving mysteries together now, I guess. I don't know why. And Velma lost her glasses. I think this might be the first time that Velma lost her glasses. And after being warned off again by the vampire, they still are looking around, doing snooping, whatever. And I love the aesthetic of this episode. I can't, like, the inside of this castle is beautiful, but that won't make it any better. It's so iconic to me. I loved this episode as a kid, but like, it's just, these villains are not scary. I would enjoy this episode watching it on Halloween. It's an enjoyable episode, but it's not scary. Continuing on, Scooby and Shaggy find Velma. Scooby and Shaggy go to a pantry, which is in one of the funniest scenes of the episode, where they find some interesting snacks.
Pickled vampire wings, yuck. Werewolf snacks? Fried moonbeams, double, yuck, yuck.
And then after finding Frankenstein's monster again and putting flour all over him to make him look even scarier, wow, I am shivering right now. Goosebumps on my skin with how scary Frankenstein's monster looks. But anyway, then Daphne is in a pit, because where was Daphne this whole time? By herself, getting captured by the vampire guy. And Daphne is in this whole entire thing, just left to die. And Shaggy and Scooby get her out of there, and Scooby captures Dracula. Wow, Dracula, even you're bad, because Scooby caught you. The dog! Imagine that. A dog wraps you up with a rope and puts you into a pit, and you're dressed up as a vampire. How embarrassing. And after that, Shaggy and Scooby, they split up again, I know. Shaggy and Scooby go to a mad scientist lab, do a little role playing, and then they find Frankenstein's monster again, bunch of other stuff. They do this whole getaway thing, and yeah. And after that, after finding one clue that shows where something is hidden, a lot of treasure. So Fred, Daphne, all of the gang, the whole gang are back together. They go to a crypt, which has a bunch of coffins, and they find the one that has the marking on it, that was the clue and whatever. They find Dracula in it, and Dracula chases the gang around. But then Shaggy and Scooby get the bright idea to use a tapestry that's on the wall to capture Dracula. They fail, but that tapestry had a bunch of pearls and stuff on it, and we realize that's the Franken's treasure. And that treasure and all that, whatever, they realize that the gypsy's earring was in the coffin, and they go back to the gypsy. They realize the gypsy is behind everything. They capture her. We've realized the gypsy's not a woman, it's a man. It's Big Bob Oakley, and we all live happily ever after. This episode is gonna go under Vampire Bats and Scary Cats. On to the next one. Next up, we have That Snow Ghost. While taking a ski vacation, Scooby and the gang find themselves in the middle of a suspicious activity in the form of a Yeti resembling monster. So, the Snow Ghost is a ghost that was a Yeti. So, basically, this Tibet guy found the Snow Ghost and kind of sort of not intentionally killed it. And since he killed it, its ghost started haunting him. And that's why it is in the ski resort haunting it, and a wood chipping area aside from the ski resort he's also haunting. So Wolf End's Lodge, we have the ski resort, which really looks like a rundown house. I don't know why. And we get to meet Mr. Greenway and an other guest of the hotel, Mr. Leach. Now, right in the beginning of the episode, Mr. Greenway and Mr. Leach are laughing at the strangest things of talking about the snow ghost, that you gotta lock your doors and windows, and then laughing right afterwards. Like, guys, tell me you're the villains without telling me you're the villains. Like, both of them are obviously very suspicious. Are like, first watchers will even know these guys are a little too suspicious to not be important somehow. So yes, Mr. Greenway and Mr. Lynch have a jewel smuggling operation that they're doing, hiding jewels inside fake logs in the wood chipping mill, and they did a pretty good job. But one thing you might be asking, why is this a spookiest tale? What is scary about this episode? Well, let me show you.
Quick, Scooby, cut the chain! Get a bigger saw! Scooby!
Uh-oh.
Quick, make like a beaver!
Beaver? Oh.
You did it, Scooby!
Yes, that's right. The Snow Ghost tries to kill Velma, not once, but twice actually. After Scooby saves Velma with his wood chipping abilities, Velma is still tied up with chains, but Scooby pushes her down to a waterbed, and the Snow Ghost, instead of floating down there, because the Snow Ghost can fly, by the way, instead of doing that, the Snow Ghost pushes another log with dynamite on it. Wow. So a lot of people were talking to me about that with the tier list I did on Snow Ghost, calling him mid. Again, we're not doing a tier list here, but yes, that was a crazy thing, and he deserves way higher than mid tier. But it was pretty obvious who the villain was. Snow Ghost is pretty alright. His abilities, he can fly, I like that. He can also turn people into ghosts like he did with Shaggy, but he actually didn't because it was just flour, but we are past that. I like how when he took Velma, he did it really fast, and then Shaggy fell through a trapdoor, and Scooby like was bamboozled, and all that to say, yeah, that Snow Ghost is now going to be our #1 episode with Vampires, Bats, and Scaredy Cats under it, and then under Vampire, Bats, and Scaredy Cats, we have a gaggle of gappling ghosts. Now, this episode is pretty fun. I love the winter theme that they have going on with the ski resort, but other than that, the Snow Ghost he's alright. He's not really crazy. This is the scariest episode so far. You hear how I said so far? Yeah, we're going to get a few more. Next up, we have Which Witch is the Witch, the 13th episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, and the last episode of our 4 main episodes of Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales. So, let's get into this episode to wrap everything up in a nice bow, but we won't because, you know, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, Fred, Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby are returning from a failed fishing trip and take a shortcut through a dark, creepy swamp. They pull over to ask directions from a man with a lantern on the side of the road, but it appears the man is a zombie. So we have the zombie and witch for the villains for this episode, and these two are insanely basic, okay? I guess 1969, there weren't many witches and zombie collabs, but with all these other everything has zombies in it, witches are very popular in Halloween culture. This is a good spooky tale to tell, is that the witch brought the zombie to life with her witchcraft, and the gang, because they're so scared, they find a general store. Inside, a man named Zeke tells them about the zombie and witch and how the witch turned the zombie into a real thing. Before they go to the general store, we hear on the radio that an armored car is missing from some robbers who stole it. I guess the armored car is just, I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. It's gone. And Zeke says that his partner Zeb saw her conjuring the zombie, and while they were hunting frogs, they saw it happen. So during that 6 months, everyone left the town, and now the town is desolate and no one lives there. So anyway, the gang talks to Zeke a little bit more, and then Shaggy and Scooby go to Zeb's house, see if they can find any clues, because where's Zeb? Anyway, they find a voodoo doll of Zeb on his bed, and what? That's strange. I mean, I guess we're talking about a witch, so yeah, and the voodoo doll Zeb had a bunch of stuff sticking out of him, so I'm guessing he's dead. But I don't know, he might be dead, he might not be, I don't know. After Scooby and Shaggy find the voodoo doll Zeb, they go back to the gang, and then the gang just leaves, just to see that the witch and the zombie are on a boat hanging in the swamp. So they come back, hop in a boat, and follow the witch and zombie through the swamp until they reach the witch's shack. Upon entry, they find voodoo dolls of the whole gang. But then the witch appears right behind them, and then Daphne's missing because Daphne was being smug to the witch, so the witch is like, nah, you're gone. So Daphne's gone now. And all of this happens, the gang finds what happened with Daphne. She went through a trapdoor, and later they find Daphne. But they follow some footprints when they get down to the trapdoor area, and that leads them to a large riverboat that's been half sunk. So they enter the riverboat and split up, leading Shaggy and Scooby to find the zombie in a chest. The zombie chases them into an old saloon where Scooby and Shaggy manage to make the zombie all confused because Shaggy and Scooby are playing some form of poker. It looks like poker. They don't really explain. It's strange. There's not 2 cards, there's like 5, I don't know. And the zombie is trying to help Shaggy out, but then the zombie is trying to get Shaggy. So something I like about the zombie. Zombie is he loves stalking you. He's gonna be right up behind you all the time. You're not even gonna realize. And the witch is she's fine. That nothing crazy. Velma and Fred find a secret room with a bunch of power tools, a wench, and what's that bundle? Velma was like, it's a ghost. It wasn't a ghost. This is who it was.
That sounds like Daphne. It is Daphne.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
How did you get here?
Let me guess. It was Big and Creepy that brought you here.
So yeah, they found Daphne, and then the witch appears and chases the trio down a coal chute. All this happens very fast, and I don't know how, it's just crazy. Anyway, Scooby and Shaggy find the witch and zombie and the witch and zombie cornered Shaggy and Scooby. Shaggy got the witch's broom and they tried to skedaddle, but the witch's broom is fake, which really shows that the witch is fake and the zombie is fake. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but if her broom's fake, then everything's fake. I don't know what are you talking about. Then, because they fell all the way down the ship into a bottom area and they fall into a motorboat. Then the gang find them and they speed away, getting out of there because they don't want anything to do with these witch and zombies, obviously. But then the witch appears, flies towards the gang, but it's just a balloon. So I guess that's what explains the witch flying, but how can a balloon laugh like a witch? How can the balloon move like a witch while flying? As they were still speeding away, the throttle gets stuck and they can't stop. So Scooby gets an anchor out of the boat, which we did not see before. Where did this anchor come from? Throws it the perfect spot because they pull up an armored car. Yep, they pull up an armored car. So this armored car is the one that was stolen, and spoilers, Zeb and Zeke are the ones who stole it in the first place. That's why they were using a metal rod to search for the metal car. Metal on metal, they'll know. When they pull up the armored car, they check out how much money it is, so then they kind of realize that, yep, the two people that live in here are probably the ones who stole it, and this is the thing they were looking for. So they get their trap all set up. It's a very nice trap, I'm not gonna lie. Probably the best of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, to be honest. So a tree hits the witch and zombie and Scooby, but we save Scooby anyway. It hits them, they go rolling down in this little rolly cart into the armored car, and Daphne and Velma shut the door. It's a very simple but effective trap. They kind of did that trap for the ghost clown, which I personally think should have been one of these episodes. But anyway, it is a very popular episode. I really love this episode. It's so awesome. All those places that the gang goes in one episode. They go to a whole nother area. So they capture them. It's Zeb and Zeke. Obviously, the two people. Who else would it be, guys? We realize they're using all that power tools and stuff to try to get their armored car so they can get the money to get out of there. So I'm surprised they chase everyone away with a zombie and witch, but that's just me. This episode is gonna go above a gaggle of galloping ghosts and below the first two, which is That Snow Ghost and Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats. Now we move on to the final episode of Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales, the Headless Horseman of Halloween. Now, this episode, and in Sleepy Hollow, the gang investigate a legendary Headless Horseman when he shows up at a Halloween costume party at Crane Manor. So we spend our whole episode mostly at Crane Manor and at a airplane facility. So we are in Sleepy Hollow, and fun fact, Sleepy Hollow wasn't even geographically a thing yet until a few years after this episode aired. A Halloween party is happening, and he is very iconic. Everyone knows the tale of the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow that wants his head. So Scooby-Doo takes this, and her niece Beth, who is voiced by Janet Waldo. And if you don't know Janet Waldo, that is very surprising because she was Judy Jetson in the Jetsons, and she literally played Lisa from the Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats episode. So back to the Halloween party, the gang are having a insanely fun time until Scooby, Shaggy, and Scooby-Dum encounter the Headless Horseman outside by the Headless Horseman all those years ago. I guess this Headless Horseman's story is he was someone in the Revolutionary War, and he got his head shot off, and they buried him, and now he wants his head back, and his ghost is trying to get his head back. He's the one who got chased down where they are now in modern day. So anyway, after all that, the gang split up to look for clues, with Velma, Scooby, and Scooby-Dum and Shaggy go upstairs, and they find practically nothing until they find the Headless Horseman. And Shaggy says something really funny about the button that Scooby-Dum presses. We meet the butler Tarloff, who looks a lot like that guy from the Go Away Ghost Ship episode from Scooby-Doo Where Are You? And then another man walks in, who we get to meet as their cousin Elwood. And cousin Elwood, well, he's the Headless Horseman. Now, Elwood's whole thing was his shoe business is filing for bankruptcy. So his whole thing is to steal Mrs. Crane's very expensive necklace. And that's what that hand was grabbing for. Not her head, but her necklace. So Elwood's saying Mrs. Crane should give him the necklace so he can give it to the bank manager because they're really good friends. So she does that. Elwood takes Mrs. Crane's necklace. It was Elwood, but the gang is obviously not seeing that, unless they did, I don't know. And very menacing, very spooky if you really aren't thinking much about watching the episode and you're not thinking that, wait a minute, he left and now he's gone, and they've realized his keys are gone. There's a picture of him that's from a passport, and there's some other clues like a newspaper clipping that Shaggy is going crazy over. So after all that, the gang go to the airport because they find out that the Headless Horseman, because they went to where he was buried, find out that the Headless Horseman is still buried there. So they are going, they figure out all these clues are adding up, so they go to the airport because they know that he's gonna be there. He's not there until he is. He goes flying in a plane. Scooby and Shaggy are in the plane with him. This is where it gets a little bit scarier because he's trying, where should I put it? It's gonna go under that snow ghost. Only because it's the most Halloween-esque episode and I just really enjoy the Headless Horseman. The episode itself, not great. The villain is alright. It's pretty obvious by the second half of the episode that it's Elwood, but it's better than Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats. They're very close. Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats and the Headless Horseman are literally, I like them for different reasons. Both of them can share the number 2 spot. So we have number 1, That's Snow Ghost, number 2, The Headless Horseman of Halloween and Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats, number 3, Which Witch is Which, and number 4, A Gaggle of Galloping Ghosts. And those are the 5 episodes for Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales. Check it out. Get the DVD. I highly suggest it if you really want the old Scooby-Doo look. If you don't care about the remaster, you want to see what it originally looked like, I really like it. So anyway, guys, that'll be it. Happy Scoobtober. If you're watching this before Halloween, I have a very exciting video for you guys on Halloween. Otherwise, like the video. That's about it. Comment what you think. If you disagree, agree, I want to know. If you think I should have said something else, if I missed something, let me know. See you in the next one. Bye.